Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe. And please rate and review the show. Reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel. Streaming live on Sportsnet 360, Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. I'm your host, William Liu, and I'm joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong in the wake of yet another sad Raptors loss. This morning I woke up, I was rewatching some of the clips, and just by the end of the first quarter, after watching, I believe, 14 missed layups.
Was that in one possession? Or?
No, separated, thankfully.
Yeah.
But, I just decided, you know what, this is not worth it. And I instead put out a poll. And the caption on this poll, which is still on my Twitter account if people want to interact with it, although who knows, who cares. But my poll was, nastiest loss by the Raptors within the last month.
Oh, how many options did you have? So they have more than 10 options?
Twitter only gives you 4 options.
Oh, okay. Shouts to Elon Musk. Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Maybe Elon can add more to this. Maybe he can elongate this. But these are the 4 that I put up there, okay? And just within the last month, to be clear, because there's more losses than this. But the first option, 2 for 30 start on TNT. You remember that win?
We all remember that.
Oh, you and I were in the building.
But I feel like they made up for it a little bit.
No, they
just because of the excitement of the game at the end.
No.
Okay, that didn't work for you. Okay,
2 for 30 is history right there. Like I talked about this already. I wanted a box score, a printed box score.
Yes,
that just said like them shooting like 1 of 17, I think, in the first quarter.
I have a screenshot on my phone of the jumbotron because it was 7-1 Milwaukee with like 5 minutes left.
That's right.
That's a classic. I like that one. That one's definitely up there.
That one right now is currently leading the poll.
I'm just saying they had a nice comeback at the end, so that kind of washes it out a little bit for me.
No, because they lost in that overtime. They did all that for nothing.
Okay, no wins and lessons.
58%. That's leading the poll right now.
Okay.
Second in the poll right now is last night's game where the Raptors had 27 more field goal attempts than the Utah Jazz. And I believe more free throws until intentional fouling started happening at the end.
Yep, 27 more shots. They had a 25-13 edge in offensive rebounds. Again,
25 offensive rebounds.
Again, I think those 25 offensive rebounds all came on like 3 possessions.
Okay.
But yeah, and I think their turnovers are really low too. Like if you look at the box score, it was a very clean box score. Outside of the fact that again they struggled from 3. I think it picked it up in the second half, but yeah. The 27 more shots though, like I don't know, like do we even need to point at that though? Because like it clearly is just them missing shots around the basket, plus Walker Kessler blocking like another like 15 of them.
Yeah, I'm just saying though, mathematically.
Yeah, it was.
If you take 27 more shots,
you should win.
There's no way you should lose. By the way, the Raptors shot 43% from 3 overall in the night, and they only had 11 turnovers. So decently efficient. Now, of course, they missed some free throws as well. That could have flipped last night's game.
Okay, so
that's number 2 in the poll right now at 15.6%.
Okay, that's recency bias. For
nastiest loss within the last month. And then the other 2, which are in a dead heat, both at 13%.
This is so exciting.
Back-to-back nights, the Raptors losing. First in Minnesota, where they had additional rest against a Minnesota team that had just lost in Denver in a close game, had come back to Minnesota. They were in the second night of back-to-back. No Karl-Anthony Towns, no Rudy Gobert, and the Raptors led by 14 points in the fourth quarter, and they lost that game, not just because their offense went ice cold for 5 minutes between the 5-minute mark and the literal last minute of the game. But they lost the game on a rip-through foul where D'Angelo Russell like swung his arms up and baited right into the foul. And also OG Anunoby missed 2 threes. For me personally, that one was tough. That one was really tough. I'm surprised it's only at 13%.
Okay.
That was bad. But the very next night, Toronto returned back home to Toronto. They're actually playing the Celtics tough. The Celtics in this game rested Jason Tatum, said there's no need. All right, you don't need to go through customs. Just keep your passport in your bedside drawer, wherever you keep your passport. Just chill out for the night. Okay, we got this. Okay, Peyton Pritchard's got this. Grant Williams has got this. Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, 2 major pieces, the best 2 defenders on the Celtics. They don't even play the second half. And instead, the Raptors still ultimately lose that game. 9-0 run by Boston when Toronto put in their bench for a minute to start the fourth quarter. And then the Raptors climb back into the game. Gary Trent Jr. had a layup, drove around Al Horford, missed a layup to tie in the last minute. However, Gary gets the steal, and the Raptors are on a fast break, 4-on-2 with Grant Williams on the ground. And Nick Nurse calls the timeout. And then that stops the fast break. He draws up a very predictable play with Pascal going to the basket. The jump ball, the review.
Turnover.
The refs, all this other stuff you can't really review.
And he lost a timeout in the process.
And he lost a timeout, which he couldn't then advance the ball. Then Pascal turned it over at the end. So
Winning's hard
That's
for bad
the poll
teams
right now. And yeah, it's dead even between that back-to-back, but there's some truly painful losses. And this is just in the last month alone.
Yeah, Peyton Pritchard played so well. He came out after and was like, I want a bigger role. Like, that's what the Raptors do to, fourth-string point guards on the other team.
He'd be our backup point guard, with a bullet.
Yeah, no, but
Easily
happy Groundhog Day. And I think, shouts to the Sportsnet Stats and Info department. They pulled up some stats, too, about just
name
how,
one person in the department.
Just how the Raptors have been losing in their last 6 games, and that's including last night. I'm going to add that to it. But like you mentioned the Boston game. So they lost that at the end. Like you already summarized that one. The Minnesota game, like you mentioned, they blew a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. And even the game when they were in Milwaukee, not the 2 for 30 performance, they were trailing by 2 points with 3 minutes left and ended up losing that one after coming back from double digits. Like we've just seen this over and over again against Golden State on this road trip. They were down 2 with 6 minutes left and ended up losing by double digits. Against Phoenix, they were down just 1 with under 2 minutes left and couldn't pull that out. And last night, they were up 105-104 with 6.5 left after I think Gary hit a 3. And then they came right back around and gave up a 9-0 run. So, like, it's, if you feel like you've been watching the same game over and over again, like you have.
Yeah.
Like, we're seeing the same things over and over again. Like, last night, they come out 2 of 10, right? And no, actually, forget about that. Like, they come out first possession. Pascal misses the layup. Right? Yeah. And then you had a couple possessions there where I think, Scotty was playing volleyball for like 5 shots at the basket. They hit like, how many threes they hit in the first half? I think 2. Yeah. One of them was at the buzzer.
Yeah.
From Gary.
Yeah.
And then they push back. They're down 4 going in the fourth. They take the lead. And then again, you can just point out the possessions, right? Like the key possession, I think, was when Fred turned the ball over, right? They were down 4 with just over 2 minutes left. And here's the chance. Cut the lead, make it a 1-possession game, turn it over. Conley goes the other way.
The ball just, by the way, not just turned it over. The ball just slipped out of his hand. And for a guy like Fred, who's like one of the most low turnover players
who
in
had
the
a
league.
Triple-double last night.
Yeah.
Right? And was carrying the team.
And also fouled out Pascal.
Yeah, so Pascal fouls out on the other end when Conley gets the and 1, and that makes it a 7-point game, and they just never get close again.
Yeah.
And then you have the whole thing at the end of games where the Raptors somehow just just drag the games out in the last 30 seconds.
Right.
As a consumer, I'm worried about that.
It was interesting because the Raptors were, I believe, down 6 with 1 timeout. They called the timeout, and they went for a quick 2 instead of a 3. And to be clear, you absolutely need to get a 3 in that situation. Yes, you can get a quick 2. Yes, you can score and then play for the turnover. Here's the thing. You need to make that into a 1-possession game at that point. So you need to make sure you hit that 3. And then you play for the turnover. And then you get the turnover, then you can have a chance, right? Because you have no more timeouts left. All you can do is prolong the game. The Raptors go for the quick 2. Then they have to quick foul. They get this. They score the 2 points. And then Gary comes down and gets fouled for 3. But again, it doesn't matter when you have, not taken.
Oh, we needed that flagrant. We need that flagrant call. That would have been.
We needed Grayson Allen to do the cup check again.
We really needed a 6-point play again to hopefully tie the game. And, shouts to Scotty Barnes getting a layup at the end just to make sure that it was a game decided by 3 points or less.
Right.
Which now the Raptors are an NBA worst 2-10 on the season. Yeah.
In games decided by 3 or
if we
less.
flip those 8, if we flip 8 of those, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Not with this team.
No. I think they've shown you what they are.
They keep showing you they are exactly who they are.
It's a concern when Alex comes on the show and brings like real analysis like this. I appreciate.
Oh, my
this,
bad.
Man.
Yeah,
this is.
Yeah,
I feel this is
season
different.
starts today.
This is not Groundhog Day for me because this is truly not the usual flow we have here. But
Gary Trent Sr. tomorrow.
Oh, by the
Unless
way,
anything comes
I can't wait. You guys want some vibes? Gary Trent Sr. coming on the show tomorrow, confirmed by producer Alex.
Yeah, James Herbert will be joining us second half. We got the trade rumor talk.
Less excitement for jumping.
No, come on.
I'm sorry, man.
Also, who calls him jumping? Is that a nickname that he has?
I'm gonna call him 11 Herbs and Spices when he comes on later today as well.
Yeah. No trade talk coming. I know everybody wants the trade talks.
Yeah, but everyone wants Gary Trent Sr. to come on because we're gonna ask him some serious questions. But last night's game. The positive was Fred played really well, and Fred continues to play really well. He's been their best performing player in the last month, I would say. The 30-point triple-double. The turnover at the end there was definitely a mistake. But he also nailed a whole bunch of big threes, pull-up threes.
There was also the 8-second violation, too. I think that was late.
Oh, man. Yeah. That's right, yeah. I don't know why the Raptors are walking the ball
I'm not even trying to pick on Fred about this, but it's like when you're trying to win these games and it's down to the couple possessions, those possessions really hurt.
Sure. No, I hear you. I hear you. It's not like he played a perfect game, right?
No,
and some of those are like unforced errors, like literally walking across the length of the court. Like I guess it's
he
47
didn't. I don't think
feet.
he realized the clock was going. The shot clock was rolling.
He did like a 1-2 with Scotty on the inbound, and I think maybe he forgot that he had inbounded to Scotty.
I'm just saying, when every game is so precious, and when every possession is so important, we have seen this over and over again.
Yeah.
And not to pick on Fred again, but it's like I remember the Knicks game as well, right? Like there was a mistake at the end.
The Brunson thing?
Yeah, by Fred, right? When he fouled, and it's just. Like you can go through the different games, and there's so many possessions that you can single out. Like the Raptors they can't get past the finish line at the end.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is you can't, if you know that you're going to be a bad team in crunch time, right? And I think the Raptors are actually decent in terms of overall crunch numbers, but that's because overall crunch time numbers includes plus or minus 5 points. The Raptors are so good at making the comeback and then not winning over the top, right? But when you know you're not a good crunch time team, you got to leave yourself with more room over the course of the game. And that's where your defense has to step up for you. And the Raptors defense this season is just so inconsistent. Half the time they're giving up 120 plus points. Like literally half the time, going back like 2 months now, they give up 120 points.
30 plus last night for Utah in every quarter.
Every quarter. And that's the Utah Jazz. Who are a good offense. They have a lot of shooters, but at the same time, like, you just had to do a better job defensively against this team. The Raptors played zone against them because they couldn't contain the penetration, but then Utah also has a bunch of shooters, so they're able to break the zone easily with shooting threes. So the Raptors just had nobody sort of really to do it. Their starters really look gassed, right? Pascal in particular, I thought guys were just blowing past him on straight line drives, and we know he can be a very, very good defender. But he looks so tired out there. Ended up fouling out last night. Your defense can't hold up for you. And then your depth can't hold up for you. That's the other thing too, right? Because last night, because OG Anunoby's hurt and because the Raptors are really just 6 good players in a trench coat and then just a whole bunch of other random guys that are just there, they only had Chris Boucher to turn to off the bench. And Chris was a net neutral, I would say. Made some mistakes offensively and defensively, but still hustled and got on fast breaks. I'm not going to argue with 16 points and 5 rebounds in 20 minutes for Chris off the bench. That's good, okay? Past that, where were the contributions supposed to come from? And that's where the roster, to me, it was like I'm happy Bobby Masai are with the team watching this thing night in and night out and experiencing the same frustrations that I'm sure that we are watching this, because it's like, who did you expect to come in and give you some depth and contributions on this team? Utah Jazz are under new management. They've blown up their previous contender core, which was, by the way, better than the current Raptors core. They blew that team up. They got depth pieces with the intention of tanking, and they have not just more talent in terms of scoring on their roster right now, but they have more pieces overall and better depth for a team that's supposed to be tanking, right? You look at who the Utah Jazz are bringing off the bench. How many of these guys will be playing for the Raptors bench? Rudy Gay will be playing for the Raptors bench. Jared Vanderbilt will be playing for the Raptors bench. Colin Sexton will be undeniably the Raptors best bench player. Malik Beasley would undeniably be the Raptors second best bench player. And then Ochai Agbaji, which I haven't seen him that much this season, but he was able to knock in back-to-back threes, which I don't remember anybody off the Raptors bench doing at all this season. Like, you look at that comparison as compared to Thad Young, Christian Koloko, Malachi Flint, Delano Banton. Like, who was supposed to do anything for you in that group? You know what I mean? So the front office has to eat this. Like, they're set up a team that has no size in the middle to handle what Utah was doing, right? Literally, Walker Kessler as a rookie was looking like Tim Duncan against them. And also, you have no depth on the roster. You only have 2 shooters all night that you had yesterday, right? You had Fred and Gary who can shoot. Everyone else is a very inconsistent shooter that you're happy to get 1-3 from, right? Meanwhile, on the Utah side, I was looking through it. Their whole starting 5, Kelly Olynyk, Lauri Markkanen, Walker Kessler excluded, but Conley and Clarkson, there's 4+ shooters in that group right there. Everybody that brought off the bench was able to at least attempt a 3, and they're all credible 3-point shooters. And meanwhile, the Raptors started the fourth quarter last night with a lineup that every single player on that lineup was Pascal at 31%, Chris Boucher at 31%, Thad Young, I think 15% this season, not shooting a lot of threes. Scotty Barnes at 29%, and I think Delano Banton at like 30%. That's it. You know what it felt like yesterday? It felt like they were playing a team from 2002 was playing, or 2003 was playing against a team in 2023. Like, mathematically, it just didn't make sense.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I was actually thinking.
And that comes down to the front office, man. That's the front office.
No, I was thinking a lot about the depth yesterday, too, watching the game, because I know so much of the talk this last couple of weeks has been about which of the starters are on the block and, like, how they're going to, rearrange that. But, they need to look at, especially if they're making these trades, you talk about draft picks and stuff, they need to get players back. Like, they need to start adding depth. Like you look at this bench, like you mentioned, like, if we go down this list, like, how many of these guys, like, honestly are like NBA level like bench players. You know what I mean? Like I look at a guy like Malachi and I know like, he's had his moments, but like he's also had a long enough runway where you're looking at this and you're like, if you're really building a winning team, like, is Malachi Flynn and Delano Banton like the guys that you want on the bench as your guard options?
Why are you asking me that like that's a question?
Yeah, no,
you know the answer.
All questions from me are rhetorical.
Yeah.
But even like, we haven't seen Kem Birch play. We've seen Wancho come in with like spot starts, right? Like once you start going down the list, even Christian Koloko, I think, is a couple years away. Like there's just absolutely nothing there. Like absolutely nothing. And like not just nothing in the present, like there's not a lot of upside when you look at it, right? Because if you think about, this is going to be a team that's going to grow and that's going to build, like there's no upside right now when you look at the second unit.
There's no upside in the second unit. In the starting group, I would say obviously there's upside with Scotty, there's upside with Precious, right? But I agree with you. The depth of the roster is just not there, and that's where you would like to see more prospects sort of come through. And the Raptors have young players, as any team does, to come through, but a lot of them are second-round picks. A lot of them are undrafted kind of players. And you got to kind of squint and really see the positive and the silver lining in some of these guys. Like, I think for a lot of teams, Delano Banton really wouldn't play. But the Raptors look at it like, okay, well, he's theoretically 6'8", point guard. Can't really shoot that well, but can slash well, has done well in the 905. Okay, maybe there's something there, right? Maybe. Malachi Flynn, he had a great month in Tampa when the Raptors lost every game. Okay.
Yeah, but Tampa's already like, what, 3 years ago now?
Yeah, I know. Koloko, you could maybe see down the line, okay, he's mobile, he can block shots, can catch a lob, he's long, he's a hard worker. But at the same time, you look at him right now, he's very skinny, he's going to get in foul trouble a lot, doesn't finish consistently. That's more of a project as well. And then you look at some of the other guys like Wancho didn't play last night, Kem Birch didn't play last night. Like, it's not like Nick was overflowing with options. And that's, again, on the front office. Like, the team is literally carrying one player short on purpose. Because they had cut Justin Champagne early in the year. It was another one of these like maybe so-so prospects that the Raptors ultimately just pulled the plug on. Maybe Justin didn't show enough, or maybe the attitude or whatever, but they pulled the plug, okay? But there is just isn't that kind of depth that you see in this squad. And that's where, when you're thinking ahead to the trade deadline, not only do the Raptors need to sort of flip some of these pieces here to get back some future prospects, but you also need to get back some players for the present and just guys who are not necessarily like great starters right now, but even just depth pieces that you can develop into. Because you look at Utah, for example, like they kind of have that, right? So
yeah, and I was also made aware that I guess if the Raptors didn't make the Thad Young trade and swap the picks, that they could have drafted Walker Kessler.
Yeah, no, they could.
He was in that range.
He was in that range. I remember, very vividly, Bobby Masai, or Bobby in particular, was talking about how, we had Christian in the 20 to 25 range.
Okay.
So it didn't even matter that we traded our pick that landed up being the 20th pick.
And some of this,
the fact that
some of this is hindsight. Some of this is hindsight, obviously. Like, you don't know how these guys are going to turn out. But
for sure.
I mean, Walker Kessler looked real nice. Damn.
22nd pick. So the Raptors would have had an option to take him.
Looks like a 7-foot Grayson Allen.
By the way, he's shooting 72% from the field this season.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. We could use that.
Yeah.
Anyways, anything else about last night's game before we get to the trade chatter? Is there anything else you want to say about this team on the court?
Let's get to the trade chatter. I mean, it's just, I don't know. The game yesterday, like, it doesn't even upset you so much. Oh, the only thing, too, is I thought, okay, even though Nick didn't have the greatest bench pieces to play with, I don't know why Precious only played 25 minutes last night. There was a stretch there where Nick challenged the out-of-bounds call where Thad stripped it off of Mike Conley, and it was initially ruled jazz ball, but Nick challenged and got it overturned. I didn't understand why in that 7-minute mark, why Nick just didn't bring his starters back in completely there.
Maybe they're not trying to win.
Right. I think there were 3 options in that sense that I saw it, right? Because clearly he already saw the need to bring in Fred and Gary, right? So it was like definitely bring the starters back in. However, in the front court, they were playing with Pascal, Chris Boucher, and Thad Young right before that timeout. Now, one option was to continue rolling with it, which is kind of what they did. The other option would have been you bring in Precious for one of those guys. And I thought Pascal could have used a breather. You could have brought in Precious for Pascal. But I understand. If you want to ride Pascal, I mean, that's I guess that's what you're supposed to do in this season, right? So you don't do that for him. You could have brought him in for Chris Boucher and then put Precious at center to match up with Walker Kessler. Or you could have just made the swap and just put in Precious Achiuwa in for Thad Young, because you know that Kessler is coming back in. And in the moment, maybe this is not a small detail, but in the next 2 minutes that happened, Kessler got 2 dunks, got 2 offensive rebounds, and blocked a shot. And it was like, those are vital, vital stretches in the fourth quarter that you lost just because you made a substitution too late. Because Thad Young at center is not guarding anybody. That's not his role. He's played 16 years in the league. This is the first time he's being asked to play center.
Yeah.
So
improve the roster, please. That's what we need, man.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right.
So more trade chatter. So Chris Haynes and Mark Stein have a new podcast called #ThisLeagueUncut. And they
I was listening to it on the way here.
Yeah, I was listening to it this morning in bed. And there was
to Mark Stein in bed. Anyway, keep going.
And this is what people do with your React pod. Man.
That's different. I got a sultry voice.
Yeah, mine's like the continental breakfast. Man. So, the Raptors naturally came up because they are the #1 team, at the trade deadline here. And here's what Chris Haynes had to say about what he's heard about OG Anunoby.
New Orleans Pelicans are definitely high on them. They're definitely high on them. I got some time to spend some time with the Pelicans over the last few days. And so the Pelicans definitely feel like he can be a fit within their system and with their scheme and their personnel. So, there's going to be serious pursuit. Do I think he's ultimately moved? I do. Because I think OG himself, off of what I'm hearing, he would like a change of scenery himself. I don't know that he's going to management or it's got that far and to request a trade, but management know how he feels. He's let it be known already.
Yeah, so...
Wait, hold on. I'm a little confused.
What's up?
Did he go to management and let it known, or did he not go to management and let it known?
It sounds like from Chris Haynes that he hasn't, officially requested a trade.
But he's like...
But he has let management know, maybe via, the clutch agency, that a change of scenery is preferred.
This is like you're trying to break up, but you're just like, listen, man.
I'm telling you.
I'm not actively breaking with you, but if you broke up with me, I wouldn't be upset.
Now until next Thursday.
Okay,
you waiting for those divorce papers to come in. But, I think...
Get that docu-sign.
Well, it's interesting because, first of all, shouts to Chris Haynes knowing, the moment. He had this, pregnant pause before being like, do I think OG's going to get traded? And he did a nice pause. So, flair for the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Great for that.
I do.
How are you so fast, dude? How do you chop up these clips? And I love that how he's like, yeah, I've been around the Pelicans, so pretty sure CJ McCollum's the one that's like, yeah, we're interested in OG due to tampering, because he wouldn't talk about it, but yeah.
#this league.
Yeah, #this league, which is one of my favorite things.
Due to tampering.
That and League Pass alert. And then Chris Haynes also had an additional comment about another team that might be in the market for OG. Here's what he had to say.
Memphis does not want New Orleans getting OG, and New Orleans does not want Memphis getting OG. That is a fact. And so you have to, and that's why, when you talk about players being that next step up, or we talked about with Jay Crowder, there's some teams that feel like he's going to take them to that next step. They feel that way with OG as well. New Orleans feels that way. Memphis feels that way. But again, those two are trying to box each other out.
So Bobby's got New Orleans on one phone, Memphis on the other.
Yeah, that's right, baby.
That's
what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. That's how you get a situation where, I was thinking back because I think last week we called up Bobby Marks, and I was asking Bobby about, if he ever dealt with Masai, right?
Yeah.
And I remembered because he did. He was the Bobby,
Carmelo,
I think, was the
Carmelo
assistant GM.
Anthony, right?
Yeah, and Masai was the GM of Denver at the time.
Yes.
And obviously Masai was moving, Carmelo, which obviously is a way bigger deal than OG potentially moved. This is like peak Carmelo. And the way he got the negotiations to the point where, he did against, New York was that he was able to get both the New Jersey Nets involved, bidding against the New York Knicks.
Yeah,
and it was kind of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And eventually that's how you get to the point where when you look back on that Melo deal, it made a lot of sense for Denver.
Well, they made that trade. That was a steal for Denver because the Knicks could have just signed him in free agency.
Yes.
In 3 months' time.
Yeah.
And instead, they gave up a bunch of assets. I remember it was like Wilson Chandler, Danilo Gallinari. There's a bunch of pieces going, right?
Yeah.
So
Picks,
I think the other thing, too, when I'm thinking about this, when it comes to OG and all this trade chatter, I think we've talked a lot, too, about how, like, oh, the Raptors are super patient and, like, you know, they're willing to walk away. I do think they're going to be making some moves at this deadline. Like, I don't think this is one of those scenarios where they can just walk away.
I don't think anyone wants to keep watching this product. I've been saying this all season, man.
I don't even think it's that.
I've been saying this all season. Yo, I sound like Stringer in season 2 of The Wire, man. We need to get with Prop Joe and change up the product because it's weak right now, man.
No, because, like, they have to make these moves. Like, there's just too many different things that are happening with, like, contract situations and, like, guys wanting a change of scenery. Now, I don't know. I still don't know if you put OG on that list because, like, there'll still be a market for him in the summer, right?
But there's clearly a market for him right now.
Yes. So let's see how high the bidding goes.
This is what I worry about thinking about going to the summer. Right now, because it doesn't seem like there are any, like, franchise-changing pieces about to change hands at the deadline.
Yeah.
The situation for the league is going to be very wide open.
Do you think OG is the #1 swing piece right now for, like, contenders?
Probably.
That's available out
Probably.
there.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
And that's the thing, though. That's important because it's not like there's other big star that's about to move that we know of, right? Who knows? Maybe some last-second things. But we literally haven't heard anything about that. That would change the landscape. And the current landscape is that the league is really open.
Hashtag this league.
Especially out west. Especially out west, the league is super open, right? A lot of motivation to buy because of how open it is.
Pelicans, by the way, have fallen to 10th.
Exactly, right? Next off, when you go to the offseason and there are bigger names that ultimately get moved, all of a sudden the landscape may not be as even as it is right now. And of course, OG's contract becomes shorter because you get him for 1 playoff run guaranteed instead of 2.
No, I think that's very fair.
I think, this is the time.
I think the other
I've
thing
been saying
too.
this for a month now too. By the way,
well, we have to talk about this.
Yeah, you're right.
But I think
I said everything by the last
the other thing. The other thing too is to your point. Like, you talk about these teams with all the draft picks. Like you mentioned, once you go to the summer, if other players are available, you know, you only get to get 4 picks or however many picks from these guys. Like, with 1 offer. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to be offering that for other players. So maybe this is the time. I did hit up the trade machine.
You did?
I got some good trades, yeah.
Damn, bro.
Maybe should we save that for a second half?
This guy's in bed hitting up the trade machine and listening to Mark Stein.
Yeah, that's my continental breakfast, man.
The vibes are horrible.
Yeah, I was on Tankathon too.
Oh, yeah. You know what I did today?
The number 5, right? Number 5 or 6?
I've added Tankathon to my bookmarks.
Yeah.
So I can easily click it with 1 hit.
Yeah. It does seem like they're stuck in that 5-6 range, though. You're not getting into that Houston range.
No, you're just not.
Unless you lose to them tomorrow. Yeah.
No, I mean, listen, man. Man, Elon Musk, man, make more options on the poll function on Twitter, please, because the Raptors are losing more than 4 times.
There are a couple more things before we hit the break. Couple more quick trade things from Brian Windhorst. He says that the Raptors are looking for young players in trade talks centered around OG and Fred, and that they just want guys in the league to put around the core that they have around Rookie of the Year Scotty Barnes. So no surprise there.
Okay.
And then J. Lou from the other network, you know, he wrote an article about the trade deadline, said that Toronto's close to acquiring DeAndre Ayton from Phoenix in a sign and trade last summer. The more I think about it, I just don't see DeAndre Ayton as like a player that the Raptors would want.
They keep getting linked, though.
Yeah, I know, but
keep getting linked.
Don't you think that just doesn't fit the type of player that Masai and Bobby and even Nick would want?
I mean, when I watched the game last night, I'm like, I wouldn't mind seeing a 7-footer. By the way, when Kawhi left, and this is disingenuous, but I'm just stating what the facts are. When Kawhi left, the replacement was Stanley Johnson.
Yeah.
When Serge Ibaka and Marcus Gasol left, the replacements were Alex Len.
Yeah, 50 Cent's favorite player.
And Aaron Bates. Oh, yeah, shouts to 50 Cent. Saying Alex Len is his favorite NBA player on the Kings.
That's cap.
Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't mind a 7-footer in the lineup.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be Ayton for me. I mean, obviously, I see the concerns, right? The price is quite high. And also
you don't want Jakob Poeltl. We've established.
No, the Jakob Poeltl.
You just don't want to talk about it.
I wanted him if the Raptors were in a genuine true playoff position, right? If they were, had the roster, their record was inverted rather than what it is right now.
Yeah.
But it's not. So anyway, I'm not surprised by this either. And honestly, if they made this kind of a move, I would understand it. I understand where they're coming from, at least.
Yeah, I think
they keep talking about how they need true size.
I'm starting to just want players instead of picks. I mean, obviously, I think any trade's going to be.
Iguodala.
I think any trade's going to be. I think any trade's going to be a combination of both picks and players. But I do want some tangible players coming back.
I do like reports of the Raptors are looking for young players. I don't think anyone's ever looking for old players, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Udonis Haslam is safe, man.
Yeah. All right.
All right. We got James Herbert coming up. Well, he's got some trade proposals as well.
I can't wait. All right. I've been your host, Walu. That's Alex Wong. You're listening to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wayne Lou. Continue to be joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong. And we are joined on the line by the man I'm now calling 11 Herbs and Spices, Jimmy Herbert of CBS Sports. What's going on, James?
That's a wonderful nickname. Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, anytime, man. Remember when you got canceled last year, James, by Raptors fans? Just have to
I have no
remind
idea what
people
you're talking about.
Wait, what was that over? It was over Goran Dragic.
Yeah, he was like, why are you booing Goran Dragic?
Oh, yeah.
And then everyone threw tomatoes at you.
Yeah, but you're back. People didn't even know you were Canadian. We always have to redeem this up top.
This man!
That was his mentions.
Yeah, shouts to Derek Brandeo. James, how are you, man?
I mean, now I'm just reliving that whole experience, so that's a bit weird. But no, I'm good. This is a very strange time of year, but I'm happy to talk about it all.
Yeah, how many trade proposals do you have? So I manage my time.
I thought you just told me to do 3. So
yeah, 3's good, man. I got 2 as well. But I guess I'll just read straight off the rundown at first. Hey, James, are you ready to give up on this Raptors core?
I think I'm ready to see something change, but I am not ready to sort of watch this entire experiment kind of burn down. I honestly think, like, if the team just had a little bit more shooting, but still tried to emphasize the same things they've been emphasizing the past few years, it would look a lot different. If you think it's shooting and a little more size, yeah, I wouldn't argue with that either. Maybe they just need to trade the entire team for Walker Kessler, apparently. Maybe that would fix everything.
You think you can get Thad Young and Koloko for Walker Kessler and Goran Dragic?
You think you can get Kessler for 4 first-rounders right now?
4 first-rounders? Yes, that's a sensible proposal in light of Walker Kessler being the new defensive player of the year, maybe. But look, I think, you go back and watch that Sacramento game, you can see, like, what the ideal version of this team looks like again. Like, we saw that for a lot of last season, especially the second half. I can't shake that. So for me personally, I'm not like burn this whole thing down. But I kind of also like just don't think that everybody's going to be here past the trade deadline.
That's fair. I think that's the more reasonable take. I think because we have to watch this like night in and night out and talk about it twice in my case, that it is hard to relive. But
yeah,
I agree.
James is hanging on to the win against Sacramento.
That was a good win, man.
I know, but still.
It's a good win, man. The forcing Sabonis into the 9 turnovers.
We can't be this thirsty for a good product once every 2 weeks,
man.
Anyways, yeah, James, you were gonna say something?
No, I'm just saying I think there is something to be salvaged. I don't think the Raptors necessarily fit the profile of a typical blow it up team. They're younger than most teams that do that. We have seen more like recent success from lineups that featured like a lot of these guys that are playing big minutes for the Raptors. Even like just some more simple stuff, like look at their point differential compared to some of the other teams that are a little bit above them in the Eastern Conference. Like all the stats kind of paint the Raptors as a team that are at least a little bit better than their record. And I think if you simulated like these first few months of the season like 100 times, like this would be on like the like lower end of the possible outcomes that would come up. I still think like you have to learn something from what you've seen. You can't be in denial about it. I think they clearly have some issues with this personnel and this mix, and some changes should be made, and I think almost certainly will be made. But I don't know, like I understand the idea of like, especially with sort of the contract situation, like maybe they should just take advantage of this situation. Look how low they are in the standings already, just completely tank and blow it up. But like, even if you do that, the teams that have been tanking this whole time have such an advantage over the Raptors. Like, I don't know that you're getting all the way down into like the bottom 3 or 4. So I don't know that you want to throw away the chance of you finding a mix that works by tanking in a way that isn't even as extreme as it could have been, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's less about, getting the best odds, because like you mentioned, like the bottom 4 teams are what they are right now, but it's just evaluating who you want to move forward with. And then, like you said, seeing if you can take advantage of, if any of these bidding wars are taking place over guys like OG. Who would you trade at the deadline?
I think Anunoby is the one that makes the most sense of sort of the core. I mean, I guess the starting five. Scotty Barnes is not really included in the names that are being rumored here, but I think if we're just talking about Van Vliet and Trent and Siakam and Anunoby, like I think the idea would be, well, if you move Anunoby, his value is so high right now for good reason, um, and that you can get a lot back, which allows you to have some flexibility, whether that means just getting like immediate like picks in the next couple of the years that you can use to have some guys on rookie contracts, or just like flexibility in terms of like making other trades so you can keep going and build this thing how, like whichever direction you want to. But then you still have um, these recent, I mean, like Van Vliet was an all-star last year. Siakam is likely going to be an all-NBA player again this season, even though he has, slipped off, like he's slipped a little bit in terms of his production in the past few weeks. Like I think he's still having a great season. Van Vliet has been awesome the past few weeks. Like I think you still have these really good players on the team. You still have a chance to kind of reconfigure this thing for next season, maybe even like get an interesting look at like some different combinations the rest of this year, depending on what you get back from Anunoby. That's just like, to me, Anunoby is like the combination of like, all right, like I don't know if you really want to move forward with a front court of Siakam, Barnes, and Anunoby all together when they all kind of want to have the ball, at least like not necessarily all need to be like a number one option or anything like that, but they just kind of get in each other's way a little bit. And maybe you can just have a sort of better balance in the front court, go with an actual center in the front court if you trade Anunoby and kind of, construct something a little bit different. But that is like just sort of with the understanding that I know they can definitely get like a number of first round picks for him. I don't know exactly what the other offers are going to look like. So if there's another move that ends up being made and it seems like the Raptors just like totally won that trade, okay, cool. Like I would understand that. But if I'm just picking somebody right now, like I think he'll definitely give you more value than a Trent. He'll probably, I mean, return more value than Van Vliet on an expiring contract. Maybe it's not the same as moving Siakam, but I just don't know how much appetite I would have for moving Pascal Siakam right now, the way that he's playing.
Yeah, just to quickly chime in, I do feel like it could be similar to the Tampa Tank situation where they actually didn't get rid of all their guys. They just kind of, rolled it over. They did obviously move Norm, and then Kyle was walking out the door anyway, so they signed and traded him. But, it wasn't like they just dropped everybody. They just also just invented injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can say that.
No,
or took advantage of injuries.
Sure,
and in
Every
a way
team
that
does that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would definitely buy if the Raptors have some injuries after playing them 45 minutes a game. Anyway, so let's hear about some of those trade proposals.
Yeah, hit us up. Hit us with these trade proposals, James, and then Will and I are going to evaluate.
No, just me, actually, because you have your own proposals.
Oh, yes, I do.
So I'm just here to say yes or no to your proposals.
So you're Masai. You're Masai in this case?
Can I be Bobby? I only have one phone with me right now.
Okay, you can be Bobby. Okay, James, what's your first trade proposal for Bobby?
All right, Bobby, we're gonna do this. This is gonna be OG Anunoby, Khem Birch, and Otto Porter to the Sacramento Kings for Harrison Barnes, Rashawn Holmes, Davion Mitchell, 2 first-round picks, maybe a couple of seconds. Now, Davion Mitchell is sort of functioning as another first-round pick. He was the 9th pick in last year's draft. Very Raptor-y player in vibe, not in height or length, but he's a really awesome point of attack defender. Holmes has been a rumored potential Raptor for like a million years, so let's just kind of make this finally happen. And I think from the Kings' point of view, it's like, well, OG's young enough that this doesn't seem like a crazy, like Kangs all in before they should be kind of move. I think it sort of makes sense. Like Barnes is on an expiring contract. You're essentially turning him into Anunoby. You lose a little bit of shooting, but you gain everywhere else. They are a terrible defensive team. Anunoby would be huge for them in that respect. And, Mitchell's minutes have gone down this year, even though it's a full season without Halliburton. I think it's just sort of the mix that they have. There's not a lot of opportunity there for him with De'Aaron Fox, with Malik Monk, these other small guards. And Rashawn Holmes isn't even in the rotation right now, but I think he is a obviously rotation caliber player as a backup big. There's a reason why at least some faction of Raptors fans have been pining after him for years.
Right. Are the picks protected? Because
Not the way I drew it up. And
okay. Well, In that case, you know what?
Yeah.
Hold on. You know what? I like this offer from, I suppose, Monty McNair. Congrats on the extension, by the way.
Yeah, should we call this in? What's going on?
No, but I have another call on the line on my other phone. As Bobby has famously 2 phones. The other phone is ringing from Memphis Grizzlies here. Zach Kleiman. Yeah, so you're Zach Kleiman in this case.
Did you see me pull up Santi Aldama's page? No. So
what's your offer for OG?
Okay, here's the offer.
Before I say yes,
here's the offer. OG Anunoby, and I'll give you Malachi Flynn, promising player. You know, I think you've seen him.
Are you tossing him in?
Yeah, I think you've seen him at Mattamy.
Damn.
In exchange, I'm going to give you Brendan Clark, Tyus Jones.
Oh.
I'll throw in Danny Green, just to make the salaries work.
Yeah, sure.
Couldn't get Santi Aldama in there. And then I'm going to give you 2026 and 2028 unprotected first.
Huh.
So 2 picks. You get Brendan Clark.
I like Jones and Clark.
You got Tyus Jones. Like, those are 2 nice pieces. We talked about depth, right?
Are you sure Memphis wants to do this? Don't you guys
Okay, so
need some more depth?
Yeah, here was my thinking, Bobby, was like, yes, depth, but like if you're getting OG, like you're trying to get the best 5 players on the floor in the playoffs, right? Because right now you feel like maybe you're 1 player away. Or maybe you don't want to play Dillon Brooks, those heavy minutes down the stretch in a playoff game.
Good luck.
No,
good luck telling Dillon Brooks to do anything.
But by making this move, you keep that core group up top, right? Like Tyus Jones, yes, is a big piece for them, Brandon Clark as well. But like you keep those main players, you don't give up from that. I'll give you 2 picks down the line. Like I'm gonna move that down a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
And you get 2
Well, maybe
players.
I'll take the Golden State 2024 pick. That's like top 3
So
protected.
that's the offer from Memphis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Between those 2, if I had to say yes to one of them, I'd probably go to the Memphis one.
Okay.
But to me,
I have another Anunoby trade. Though.
Okay.
A third call is on the line.
I also have one. I also have one after as well.
Oh my God! Oh my! The calls are coming in right now. This is probably Bobby and the size of real life right now. Okay, all right. Who's the third caller from? I don't have a caller ID.
Okay, this is from the New York Knicks.
Oh, Leon Rose. What's going on, Mr. CAA?
Yeah. This call is being recorded, definitely. So careful what you say.
Oh, that's right. For the record, I love the MSG network.
Oh my God.
I love MSG.
We like MSG in general. Yeah.
Damn, we made the same joke.
Yeah, I know. Goddamn. Too many Asians.
All right.
So
Leon
Rose and the Knicks. Leon would like Anunoby, Kem Birch, and Malachi Flynn.
Okay. Wow. A lot of Kem Birch and Malachi Flynn.
That's a platter. Yeah.
3 first-round picks from the New York Knicks.
Not those garbage protected ones. Not those like
no,
top
3
16
unprotected.
Okay.
I'm saying 3 unprotected Knicks picks as far down in the future as you would like.
Okay.
And with the player package going the other way is Isaiah Hartenstein, Cam Reddish, and Derrick Rose's expiring contract. And the idea is the Raptors basically do it for the 3 picks, but also like I really like Hartenstein. If they're interested in Pirtle, they should be interested in Hartenstein, like kind of a similar player, not as great of a rim protector, but was pretty good in that respect last year. I thought last year is like one of the best backup centers in the league. And, you can use him doing his like facilitator stuff from the high post, and he's good in the short roll. Like he has not looked great in New York. He doesn't quite make sense the way that they're using him. They're not using him the way that the Clippers did. But I think he would look good elsewhere. And Reddish is just sort of a flyer. You take a look at it. If it works out, you can re-sign him. I doubt he would be that expensive. And then Rose is like strictly just to kind of make the money work. And the Knicks do it because it's OG. Like I think if they do that, it's a little crowded on the wing. You probably move RJ Barrett to the bench, but that might be best for him anyway. Like he has looked a little bit uncomfortable this season with Jalen Brunson coming in and kind of running the show. That's really helped Julius Randle. But as it's helped Randle, it has kind of hurt Barrett. Like he is not really known how to fit in. And I think that maybe balances that up a little bit. It doesn't, I don't think, make the Knicks a contender or anything like that, but they still have more flexibility because they're not giving up any of those young guys that we were talking about if they had gone and made the Donovan Mitchell trade in the summer. It's basically just like they're throwing a lot of picks at you, and they're throwing Cam Reddish, who was in the doghouse anyway. Right. And Hartenstein is not really a huge part of their future or anything. Like I think it does make sense for both teams. And for the Raptors, it's merely just like, give me your picks. We are betting on your downfall.
If it's 3 unprotected picks from the Knicks, that's so hard for me to turn down.
There's one more call coming in though.
There's one more call coming in. By the way, I can't get quickly on that. Maybe no. All right.
Oh, now you want quickly? Oh,
I mean, I don't know. Maybe if I'm
not if you're
I'm gonna
getting
ask
the
for
3
everything.
unprotected.
Cam Reddish is going. Cam Reddish is going.
Unprotected Knicks
Reddish
picks,
is
man.
going straight
Damn.
at Nick Nurse's. He's gonna put on the Malachi Flynn jersey when he
He's gonna
comes
take
here.
22.
All right, New Orleans is calling.
Oh my God! Wow, David Griffin, man.
Yeah, that's
Loved
right.
you on NBA TV,
Griff
man.
dog.
You're one of my favorite on NBA
The
TV.
Griff
Great
is calling.
glasses.
So the
Yep.
Griff knows that the bidding is getting real high right now. Okay, so let's start with Dyson Daniels,
Okay.
Herb Jones.
Oh, 11 Herbert and Spices. All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna give you Willie Hernan Gomez just to reunite with Juancho. Okay,
Great.
Heard the vibes are bad.
Yeah.
And then
I
we
love
have to throw in Devontae Graham to make the money work.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
And this is all just for OG. You know,
Wow.
we're keeping. You know, I don't want Kem. You know, I don't want Malachi. And you know, since the bidding is getting real high,
yeah.
how about I throw in one of those Lakers picks because they've got a couple of swaps coming, and maybe you can pick if you want this year, or I think they've got another one down the line as well.
Damn.
So were the Raptors just cutting guys so they can absorb all these players?
I can pick 3 guys they can cut. Yeah, if there's roster issues.
You could do a Hernan Gomez swap.
No, but like, you know, to put it over the top, I'm going to offer one of those Lakers picks because
Wow.
I'm getting desperate.
These are good offers. These are all actually pretty good offers. In seriousness, if I had probably had to rank them, 3 unprotected Knicks first round picks. So I don't think that's actually on the table. Just to be clear.
Okay, but what about if you get the Lakers? First of all, we don't know where the Lakers are going to end up because the standings are very bunched up. So it doesn't look like it's going to be like a guaranteed, like, you know, top 5 odds or anything, but still appealing though.
No, absolutely.
The thing about the Lakers pick that's cool is you can defer it.
Yes, so maybe we'll work around, you know, however it works to you know, let you pick which one. We'll defer.
Sounds like when I'm at the bank and they're offering me credit cards right now. Man.
So yo, just sign
They're
up.
like, well, this way you get 4 times
Just
points
sign
on
up.
gas. I'm like, no, okay. If I had to rank them, honestly, for me, if the Knicks put the entire, it's essentially like
the 3 picks,
5 years of drafts.
Yeah, you're taking that.
I would take that from the Knicks if they're unprotected. I doubt that it's on the table.
Versus getting some players back because some of the other packages are giving you some decent players.
Second for me is probably yours, Alex. I'm not going to lie. The Pelicans one is appealing. I think Daniels is somebody that the Raptors would be interested in. I do remember the Raptors conducting draft interviews with him. And the Raptors were nowhere near the top of the draft.
Herb Jones too, right? Like you got Herb Jones. You got the Lakers pick.
And
so that's really the
also,
package.
again, I doubt New Orleans puts all that on the table together, but who knows?
Yes.
Who knows? Maybe if you get 4 calls at once, it gets to this level. So that's number 2 for me. Number 3, I'd probably go with the Memphis one. You know?
Yeah, so you got Brandon Clark, Tyus Jones. So you got 2 firsts down the line.
I like the depth addition, and you got the 2 picks. And then the Sacramento deal's not even terrible. But
our teams, I think the big question is, like, are teams willing to actually go to this level, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't
It's a cool exercise. Man, it'd be fun to be a GM. Plus,
until you have to make the call on which one to pick.
Yeah, well.
And Masai's like, pick none of these.
What's Masai
We're not
picking,
dealing
man?
with Pat Riley.
Yeah.
We're not doing no trades.
Well,
Yeah. So.
I'm happy Lawrence Frank didn't call in and offer you know, the poo-poo platter for Fred VanVleet, because the hard answer to any deal involving the Clippers is no.
I don't know, man.
Just for the record, it's no. Okay, Raptors aren't making any moves. Well, James, this was excellent. I appreciate you. You're going to All-Star? Yeah. We got like 20 seconds left. Are you going to All-Star?
I will not be at All-Star. Do I have enough time to throw out the other trade I had?
You would just have to throw it out, though. We literally have 20 seconds for you.
Seth Curry, Joe Harris, some kind of draft compensation for Gary Trent and Chris Boucher. This is a salvage this season, get some shooting, have a look at what it is.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
I'd rather keep Gary inside.
Yeah, I'm going to have to hang up the phone. You could even throw in Utah, man. You didn't even pay me the respect of giving me Utah again.
Call back in the summer when KD requests another trade.
Yeah, that's the only call I want to hear from Sean Marks. I'm not going to lie. All right, James.
James, appreciate you, man. Everybody check out his work at CBS Sports. Appreciate you, James.
Friend of the program.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that does it for us today. I've been your host, Willu, and you've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find The Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe. And please rate and review the show. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360, Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Thanks again to James Herbert, producer and co-host Alex Wong, our board producer Derek Brandale, and Frank Baraska for helping us with the YouTube stream. Welcome back, Frank, temporarily. And, one last plug for the Banter Pod, which we're going to record shortly after this one. Talk to you tomorrow.